I can imagine having, our founders come in and give the, event, and really you're getting the best sales pitch you can because, they started the ministry. But that doesn't mean that getting going with establishing these groups is easy or simple. So what were some of the initial hurdles that Faith Chapel experienced when starting Pure Desire groups? And really, how did you overcome those obstacles?
Again, I think Annie has she was here from the beginning when Ted came in 2014. And so I would love for Annie to be able to comment on some of those initial hurdles that they overcame in the beginning stages of this partnership.
There were huge hurdles in the beginning.
Yeah.
Huge. Like, who was even remotely to qualify to lead or who wanted to lead? What would promotions look like? How it was going to come from the platform? Who would sign up? Who's going to admit that they have a problem and are willing to come forward to talk about that? But after Ted's presentation on a weekend service, I believe that the Lord was working, and not only me, but with the groups that were established subsequent that to Ted and Diane coming here. And I do remember when the women's groups started later, I was part of the women's group. And even admitting that my first marriage ended in divorce because of this. And I had that background. I was a little frightened because I kind of wondered what it would look like to have a staff person, on staff to admit going through these difficulties. And however, as we are processing the material with other ladies, I found that I was not the only one, that it is so common.
Yeah.
And it just opened up my eyes to really want to know more.
So in terms of some of those challenges, like I said, I've been serving here for 2.5 years as a guidance and care pastor, but really my introduction came through navigating my own unwanted cyclical sexual behavior in my life. In 2016, my wife and I lost our oldest daughter, and the pain level just absolutely skyrocketed in my life. And at this point in time, I began to medicate, hide, internalize, suppress, isolate, and just try harder. And I knew, what I was doing wasn't working, but I wasn't ready to come to my wife and tell her again without some sort of answer. And so hid this from her for 7 months. I was full-time husband, full-time dad. I was working 40 plus hours of work of hard labor. I was in a factory. I was doing 20 hours a week at the church as a youth pastor elder, and then I was going to college too. And so this 7 months was brutal for us, for our marriage. When it was finally exposed, April 1st, it was of 2017, I had set up an appointment with a Christian counselor at this point, and he told me about Pure Desires at Faith Chapel. He said, "Oh man, have you heard about this?" And I was like, "No." And so my friend Bob recommended me to Pure Desires at Faith Chapel, and I came. And in May of 2017, I attended my first session of Conquer, and within the first 2 sessions, there was light bulbs. I was amazed at the root, this multidimensional, multifaceted addiction that I didn't know that I had. I was astounded by the fact that sex addiction wasn't about sex. It was about medicating inner pain and grief and wounds and loss and trauma and shame and fear and So was really privileged to be given a process that I could personalize in community that was Christ-centered, that was clinical, that was neurologically informed. And so I had a huge relapse July 5th of 17. So I've been sober since July 6th of 17 with no hardcore, softcore porn or self-medication. And yet, like, the process that was incredibly transformative took a while, to begin to
totally.
like work. And so remained in group. I was leading a group within 7 months of being in my first group, and I led that group online. And so the process of 7 pillars really, really helped me reorient, understand arousal, trigger mapping.
Yep.
Really helped me understand specifically like renewing the mind and understanding my wife's identity and personality was unique to her. And so there was a whole lot of stuff that had to be reformulated, reoriented in my theology and my personal life and my recovery. Ultimately stepped off staff of that church December of 18. And 2019, January, decided immediately to come serve, give, go to Faith Chapel. I'd already been in groups here since 17. So I served here for 2 years leading groups with a good friend. We led young high school students through Top Gun.
Yeah.
And after doing that for 2 years, our senior pastor invited me to be the guidance and care pastor. So I started June 1st of 01. And so in like the last 2.5 years of ministry here at Faith Chapel, I've been privileged to serve as that guidance and care pastor. But that position involves all addiction, all recovery. So our Pure Desire groups, survivor care as a part of that, all counseling, all funerals, benevolence, 24/7, 365 pastor care or pastor-like contact. So people have access to a pastor.
Yeah.
There's 5 ministries in the women's prison. There's 4 different prayer ministries.
Wow.
There's multiple different things. So our biggest challenge is in this, I think, is not only do we have this incredible partnership with Pure Desires, but there's just a lot of different other dimensions to guidance and care. So secondly, the consistent request for navigating crisis.
Yep.
We have not only the groups that we lead, and then leading leaders to lead, and then wanting to operate according to best practices and group guidelines, which we're super thankful that Pure Desires has made it, leader training and frequently asked questions and leadership development so available. But every week it seems like we're getting, requests. And I know that you know about that. I think last summit we were at, aren't there like 13,000 people a month that visit your guys' website?
I mean, at this point, we're between 90 and 100,000 visits to our website. And then, I would say like maybe a little under 10,000 group searches a month or something like that. So we know what's happening out there.
You do. So those requests are coming in. So, thirdly, what's challenging for us is, when groups are in motion, like helping them finish well, transition into the next process.
Yeah.
And then continuing to equip and empower leaders through navigating, the crisis, but also enjoying the victories, because there's like life change that's happening all around. Those are really, like, honestly, our biggest challenges is that transitionary process. Like you said at the beginning, Trevor, we'd love it to be smooth and seamless. And yet there's holidays, vacation, there's, emergencies, and then there's, the crisis. So
transformation is messy.
Yeah. Recovery is, but it's so beautiful when you get a call, and somebody's getting it and the light bulbs are going off and they can feel like the new neural connections that are being made, and they're using the resources and the tools. Like, it's super exciting.
Yeah.